It has been exactly 20 days.
20 days.
20 days since the wreckage of the Learjet VTSSK was found burning on the runway in Baramati. And, you know, in the news cycle, 20 days is an eternity.
Oh, it's forever. Stories just fade.
They fade, people move on, but not this one. With this one, the silence isn't making it fade. It's making it louder.
It is exactly that.
Yeah.
It's the kind of silence that gets very loud very quickly. We are, of course, talking about the crash that killed 5 people, including the former Deputy Chief Minister, Ajit Pawar.
And today, we're not just looking at a plane crash. We're really looking at a collision between two completely different worlds.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
On one side, you have this slow, methodical, almost, boring world of air crash investigation.
Right.
And on the other, you have the high-speed, high-emotion world of Indian politics. And right now, those two are just slamming into each other.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Because on one hand, you've got the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, the AAB. They're saying, trust the process, trust the science, wait for the report.
And on the other,
you have a grieving son, Rohit Pawar, and he's basically asking, is this science or is this a cover-up?
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this fresh wave of allegations that just dropped. We're going to look at the destroyed evidence claims,
Yes.
especially about the black boxes.
But critically, we're going to do it by looking at the engineering. What does damaged actually mean when you're talking about a memory chip that's been sitting inside a jet fuel fire?
Yeah, we have to parse the difference between the political rhetoric and the technical reality.
Because sometimes they can look exactly the same from the outside, even when they are worlds apart. And if you get that wrong, if you misunderstand what a damaged black box really implies, you can go down some very dark rabbit holes.
Okay, so let's start with the catalyst. Why today? Why is this exploding now? For about 2 weeks, things were, pretty quiet.
They were. And then suddenly, Rohit Pawar goes on X, what we used to call Twitter, and just throws a bomb into the middle of the entire discourse.
He didn't mince words, did he?
Not at all. He posted a direct challenge to the investigation agencies. He's asking, point blank,
Accident or murder?
accident or murder?
That is such a heavy phrase. You don't just throw that around, especially when you're an MLA yourself.
No, you absolutely don't. And to get why he's using that language, you have to see the timeline from his side. It's been 20 days.
Right.
No preliminary report, not a single public explanation of what might have happened. For a family member and one who knows how the system works, that delay, it starts to look like valid grounds for suspicion.
He's arguing that the value of Ajit Dada, his father, just hasn't dawned on the agencies. He feels like the investigation has zero momentum. Is that a fair assessment, though? Does a 20-day silence mean nothing is happening?
In the public eye, yes, it feels that way. But inside an investigation hangar, no, absolutely not. But Rohit is connecting this silence to a very specific, very dark theory.
He's not just complaining about bureaucracy.
No, he's alleging active tampering. He brings up a specific entity, the VSR company, and explicitly asks if the delay is being created to let this company destroy evidence.
That's the part that really jumped out at me. He's not just saying, oh, the government is slow. He's pointing a finger at a specific actor, implying they have access to the evidence.
And that's where the conspiracy theory just gets legs and starts to run. Because if you believe that a private company can get in there and scrub what is effectively a crime scene,
A crash site, yeah.
then you have to assume the entire chain of custody is completely broken down. It implies the police, the DGCA, the AAIB, everyone's just looking the other way.
Well, and he has a reason to feel like his suspicion is validated, doesn't he? He made a prediction about the black boxes.
He did. This was about 5 days ago. Rohit Pawar went on record and basically predicted that the agencies would eventually turn around and claim the black boxes were damaged.
He called his shot.
He called his shot. And now reports are trickling out that, well, the black boxes are in fact damaged.
Which for him must feel like a smoking gun.
Exactly. He said, and I'm quoting here, "The information emerging today about the black box being damaged makes it seem like the possibility I predicted is turning out to be true." It's a huge I told you so moment for him.
It really is. It's like if I tell you, hey, they're going to say the dog ate the homework, and then the teacher comes out and says the dog ate the homework, you'd think I was a prophet.
Right.
But this is where we really need you to step in. Because the word damaged in aviation, it might not mean what we all think it means.
It's the core of the whole misunderstanding. To a layperson, to you or me, damaged means broken. It's useless. It's been tampered with. But let's look at the actual hardware. We're talking about the flight recorders.
The black boxes.
Specifically, the Digital Flight Data Recorder, or DFDR, and the Cockpit Voice Recorder, the CVR.
The famous black boxes, which of course are bright orange.
Always bright orange, yeah, with reflective tape so you can find them at the bottom of the ocean or in a forest. Now, these things are built to be, and I'm not exaggerating, some of the toughest objects on the planet.
I've heard the specs are insane.
They are. They are designed to survive an impact of 3,400 Gs. They can withstand temperatures of over 1,000 degrees Celsius for an hour.
So, if they're so tough, how are they damaged? Did someone literally take a sledgehammer to them? Is that even possible?
It's extremely difficult to destroy one manually. You'd need some serious industrial tools. But in this case, the AAIB has confirmed what happened. Both recorders were exposed to intense heat for a long time.
From the post-crash fire.
Exactly. Jet fuel burns incredibly hot. So the damage the AAIB is talking about is thermal damage, mostly to the outside casing.
Okay, so the shell is toasted. It looks like a burnt brick. But the data, the important stuff, is inside, right? On the memory chips.
Correct. You should think of it like a fireproof safe. The paint on the outside might melt off, the handle might warp, but the documents inside are protected. The outer chassis is designed to be sacrificial. It's supposed to burn and deform to protect that core memory unit.
So when the AIAB says the boxes are damaged, they're just stating a physical fact about the casing.
They're describing the physical state. The fire melted the insulation, maybe charred some of the connectors. But Rojas here's damaged, and he's thinking, wipe clean.
Okay.
Exactly. And here is the nuance that just gets lost in a 280-character tweet. We have two boxes, and their status is completely different.
Okay, so let's break them down.
First, the DFDR, the Digital Flight Data Recorder. This records all the flight parameters, altitude, airspeed, what the flaps were doing, that sort of thing.
The what?
The what? This one was made by a company called L3 Communications.
Okay.
And despite all that fire damage to the outside, the AAIB has confirmed they successfully downloaded all the data from it.
Wait, so they have the data?
They have the flight data. That piece of evidence is secure. It has not been destroyed. So on that specific point, that destruction of evidence narrative, it kind of hits a brick wall. The technical story of the flight is safe.
But there's a but coming. I can feel it, because if everything was fine, we'd have a report by now.
The but is the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR.
The why.
The why. This is the unit that records the pilot's conversation, the sounds in the cockpit, any alarms. It gives you the human story. This unit was manufactured by Honeywell.
And this is the problem, child.
This is the problem. The AAIB admits it's undergoing a detailed technical examination, which is code for we couldn't just plug it in and press play. The fire damage was bad enough that they can't get the data out using their standard lab equipment in Delhi.
Why not? What's the risk?
The risk is data corruption. If you try to force it and the memory board is brittle from the heat, you could crack a chip. And then, poof, the data's gone forever.
So what do? Do they just break it open carefully?
You have to be incredibly delicate. So they've done what you do in this situation. They've invoked international protocols. They've reached out to the accredited representative of the state of manufacture.
That sounds incredibly formal and bureaucratic. What does it actually mean?
It's from ICAO Annex 13. It's the rule book. Basically, since Honeywell is an American company, the Indian investigation team calls up the NTSB in the U.S.
Sure.
The NTSB then gets a Honeywell engineer involved. They might even have to ship the actual CVR unit to a specialized lab in the U.S. or have that engineer fly to Delhi with proprietary tools to extract the data.
Okay, let's just pause that, because this is a huge insight. You're saying the delay isn't because they're sitting around shredding documents.
Right.
The delay is because they're literally waiting for the guy from Honeywell to help them perform microsurgery on a melted chip.
That is almost certainly the technical reality of the situation. But look at how that plays out politically. The AAIB says, we are waiting for the accredited representative due to thermal damage. Rohit Pawar hears, we're stalling because the evidence is gone.
It's a fundamental translation error. Technical problems are being interpreted as malicious intent.
And the tragedy is, both sides are sort of right. They're looking at the same wreckage and seeing two different truths. The fire caused the damage. That validates Rohit's fear.
But the damage caused the delay.
And that validates the AAIB's process.
But couldn't the AAIB help themselves here with a bit more transparency? I mean, if they just put out a statement saying, hey, everyone, the CVR is fried, we're waiting for Honeywell, wouldn't that calm things down?
It might. But these investigation bureaus are, by nature, very opaque. They operate on a principle that Partial information is misinformation. They really hate releasing snippets. They want to wait for the full, confirmed picture.
Which is a noble idea, but maybe a bit naive in 2026.
Extremely naive. Because in an information vacuum, conspiracy theories don't just grow, they sprint. And when you have other political figures like Sanjay Raut also raising doubts, that political pressure cooker just explodes.
Let's talk about the investigation machinery itself. The accusation isn't just about the black boxes, it's about the entire response. The feeling is that the agencies are sleeping on the job.
That they don't care about Ajit Pawar.
Yeah. Is there any evidence for that?
Well, if you look at the actual logs from the Ministry of Civil Aviation, the timeline shows a very, very rapid response.
Okay, so walk us through those first 24 hours. The perception is nobody showed up.
The crash was January 28th. On that exact same day, 2 separate teams were dispatched. You had a 3-member team from AIB headquarters in Delhi and another team from the DGCA office in Mumbai.
So boots on the ground immediately.
Immediately. And it wasn't just junior guys. The Director General of the AIB, GVG Ugandar, he flew to the site personally on day 1.
That's a big deal.
That's rare. It signals this was flagged as a top priority event from the very beginning.
So the leadership was there. What about the security of the site, though? That VSR company allegation. Rohit is terrified that a third party is in there messing with the evidence. How is a crash site normally secured?
Legally, under the AAIB rules, that crash site becomes a sterile zone. It's treated exactly like a murder scene. The local police cordon it off, but the jurisdiction over every piece of wreckage belongs to the AAIB.
So a private company couldn't just walk in and start, I don't know, cleaning up?
Not unless there was a catastrophic multi-agency failure of protocol. The chain of custody is sacred. Every piece of debris is photographed, tagged, and mapped before it's ever moved. If someone tampered with it, there would be a paper trail of missing parts when they do the reconstruction.
They actually put the plane back together.
Often, yeah. They move the wreckage to a hangar and lay it out on the floor like a giant, tragic jigsaw puzzle. If a control surface is missing or a part shows signs of being cut after the crash, the investigators will know. It's very hard to destroy evidence on that scale without leaving new evidence of the destruction.
But Rohit is specifically pointing to this VSR entity. Who are they?
That's the detail that isn't public yet, but it implies a motive, right? By naming a specific company, he's suggesting this wasn't just a random accident, but maybe a convenient one.
Which brings us back to the delay of that preliminary report. We're at day 20. Is it normal to have nothing by now?
It's borderline. The ICAO standards suggest a preliminary report should be out within 30 days. So technically the AAB is still in the window. They've got 10 days left.
But the public expectation isn't 30 days, it's yesterday.
Especially when a deputy CM is involved. The expectation scales with the profile of the victim. If this were a cargo flight with no VIPs, 30 days would pass without a peep from anyone. But here, every hour feels like an eternity.
And the AAIB put out that statement asking people to avoid speculation.
Which is like asking people not to breathe. You can't stop speculation when 5 people are dead and the answers are literally logged inside a melted box.
Let's just pivot for a second to the human element. We get so lost in the acronyms DGCA, AAIB, DFDR. But there are 5 families whose lives just ended 20 days ago.
That's the reality. Ajit Pawar wasn't just a politician. He was a father, a husband. He was out there campaigning for local elections. He was just doing his job.
And the crew.
And the pilots, the crew, they were just going to work that day.
And I think that's what gives Rohit Pawar's anger so much power. When he says, "We will not rest," that isn't a press release. That's a son talking.
It is. And he's now threatened a press conference in the next couple of days. He is escalating this, probably because he feels like he has no other option.
This creates this fascinating and tragic conflict of narratives. You've got 2 timelines just running side by side.
You do. You have political time and you have technical time.
And political time is fast.
Political time is instant. It's driven by the 24-hour news cycle, by public pressure. It demands binary answers. Was it murder or an accident? We need to know now.
And technical time.
Technical time doesn't care about your feelings. It moves at the speed of international shipping. It moves at the speed of microscopic analysis of a memory chip. It is slow, it is methodical, and it is painfully boring to watch from the outside.
So the problem is that technical time looks exactly like a cover-up to the people living in political time.
Bingo. To an engineer, a 20-day delay to recover data from a burned CVR is due diligence. To a grieving son, it looks like evidence tampering.
So what's the nightmare scenario here? Let's say the Honeywell engineers finally get the box, they open it up, and the chips are just fused silicon. Unreadable. What happens?
That is the worst possible outcome, because the CVR provides the why. The data recorder tells you the plane banked left at 30 degrees. The voice recorder tells you why the pilot banked left. Was he fighting with the controls? Was there an alarm he was reacting to? Was somebody else in the cockpit?
Without that voice data, you're just left with the physics of the crash.
And physics can't explain human intent. If that CVR data is truly lost, the accident versus murder debate will never ever end. The AAIB might conclude it was, say, pilot error based on the flight data, but the family will always be able to say, but what about the conversation you couldn't hear?
It leaves a permanent space for conspiracy theories to live in.
Forever. The doubt can never be fully uprooted. It becomes an unsolved mystery, even if the technical cause is found.
So the next 48 hours are critical. Rohit holds his press conference. The pressure mounts. Does the AAIB buckle and release something, even if it's incomplete?
They might have to. They might release a statement confirming the DFDR data, the flight path, the altitude, just to show progress. Just to prove the hard drives weren't scrubbed, they may need to show their hand. Just a little.
But that might not be enough for a son who thinks his father was murdered.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Not until they address the VSR allegation head-on and explain the cause of that fire. The distrust will likely remain.
It is a mess. A high-stakes, emotional, and deeply technical mess.
It really is.
So to wrap this all up, let's just summarize what we actually know versus what is being feared.
Okay. What we know for a fact. The investigation is active. The head of the AAIB was on site on day one. The flight data recorder, the L3 unit, its data is safe and has been downloaded.
So the what of the crash is safe.
The what is safe, what is at risk is the why. The cockpit voice recorder, the Honeywell unit, is badly heat damaged and is waiting for international experts to attempt what is basically a data rescue operation.
And in that gap, that waiting period for the why, the political narrative has rushed in to fill the void with theories of murder and conspiracy.
And until the AAIB speaks clearly and directly to those fears, those theories risk becoming the accepted truth for a lot of people.
I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought. We live in a world where you can track a food delivery on a map in real time. We get push notifications seconds after a wicket falls in a cricket match. We are addicted to speed.
We equate speed with transparency.
Exactly. If it's slow, we assume it's being hidden. So the question is this. In our modern hyper-connected era, is it even possible for a thorough, methodical investigation to exist anymore? Or is the gold standard of investigation, taking your time to get it right now, fundamentally incompatible with public trust?
That's the challenge, isn't it? If the truth takes 6 months to arrive, does it even matter anymore? Or has the story already been written by then?
Something to think about the next time you see a breaking news alert. We will be watching that press conference very closely. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay curious.
And stay critical.
See you next time.